should never ask. I don't want to speak her name, but on the whole, I think you shouldn't ask a writer that.
Well, change it.
You always tell. I never tell.
I tell partly because as I talk about it, I have more thoughts about it. I have a book coming out in a couple of weeks that is called Private Life, but I'm not writing it at the moment. The book I'm writing now is a book that I can't talk about because my agent is here and I haven't told her anything.
But you can talk about private life.
My grandfather was one of 10 or 11 children. He doesn't remember really. And one of the oldest ones, one of the oldest girls, was married to a astronomer who became so notorious that if you type him in, he's dead, he's been dead for 45 years. But if you type him in on the internet, he still has a presence. And if you go to what people who talk about him and you'll read along, you think, this sounds okay. And then the next sentence, the next paragraph will say, and then the machine that I made in accordance with his principles was taken away from me at American Customs, and I know that the CIA is employing it to do blah, blah, blah. So he was truly a nut, and I wanted to write about what it was like to be married to a nut. So that's, in some sense, what this book is about. It's called Private Life. It'll be out in about 2 weeks.
Yes, I write very short books. Sometimes readers pretend they're grateful for this. I never know how long a book will be, and I never know. I always hope they'll be longer because a longer book seems like it's a real book, but then I keep having this idea that then if I write a longer book, I really will be in literature. Because all the books I read as a child, which is what I considered real literature. As I say, I didn't read a book written in the 20th century until I was about 19, a serious book. I thought, well, you know, a great book, big book like Dickens, and if only I could do that. But it turns out I have no real interest in writing a long book. That I write what I write, and it soon comes to a screeching halt.
Well, you told me one of your secrets once.
Which was
no dialogue. If you have dialogue, there's a lot of white space sometimes.
I don't know dialogue. In a way, yes. In the way he's now entered the shelf of Charlotte Bronte. He's in my literary memory. I do, but it's not. As time passes, he recedes. So I don't really write for him. Though I refer to him a lot. It would be impossible not to. I probably wouldn't be the writer that I am if I hadn't known him, and if he hadn't been so generous and indulged me so very much. He really indulged my imagination. I mean, when I think of things I've written that I know he would have loved and other people's reaction, I mean, my book, A Small Place, was written solely for him. I wanted to tell him something about myself, and he was fired. He was about to publish it when he was fired from his job, and the person who succeeded him refused to publish it because he thought it would offend the advertisers. And it was Mr. Shawn who told Roger Strauss that could he publish it as a small book, which is how it became a small book. The other person in my career who supported me without any doubt was Roger Strauss. So I didn't write for Roger because you didn't have to. You know, Roger just was Roger.
Well, I had last year, for about 2 years, I was selecting the Man Booker International Prize, which is for a body of work, and our original long list was about 70 names. And the short list was 14, and we finally chose the person last year. So I felt I was fairly versed in what was going on in the literary world by the time we finished that. And to some degree in the American literary world, because there were a lot of Americans on the long list. And as I thought about the books that really, and the books that were, you know, from, say, before year 2000, which is part of the rule of the game, the ones that really stuck in my mind or were important to me, there were 2 or 3, and this was one of them. So I reread them. And the one I felt had staying power was this one.